Moving house, being involved in a conveyance, is one of the most stressful events that most people will experience in their life. It's well recognised that it's a stressful time. It can be fraught, and especially if you're not used to being involved in property transactions, then it's even worse because you are operating to a great extent in the unknown. I'm buying and selling property since 1986 for over 30 years or whatever it is now, and obviously I'm a solicitor now, but I'm involved in conveyances all the time, and I can see the stress and pressure and hassle that it causes for people. And unfortunately, it's not a whole pile you can do except trust your professional advisors and accept that it is a stressful time. It's stressful for probably both parties, and sometimes you're involved in a chain where there may be more than two parties. There could be three parties involved in some sort of a chain. But sometimes disputes will break out, and the temptation is to spit the dummy out, indulge oneself in accusations and recriminations and finger pointing and blame attributing and pointing the finger and so on. But that can be, and generally is, entirely self-indulgent and self-destructive, or at least not helpful. It reminds me of a time I read a book way 20, 30, 40 years ago, a business book, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was to do with a guy who had some difficulty at an airport, and there was some mix-up or mess-up with either his credit card or his airline ticket or whatever. But he was speaking to the girl on the airline desk, and he was giving her hell. He was giving her hell, and he was indulging himself, and he was criticising her and criticising the airline and so on. And the guy who wrote the book, I can't remember who, made the point that of all of the people on the planet who can help him and who can solve his problem at that particular point in time, this was the girl. This was the person. And here he was, indulging himself, pointing the finger, blaming, criticising, verbally abusing, and so on. That can happen. The temptation can happen in conveyancing as well. It can happen in other legal disputes, but in conveyancing, especially when tensions can be high and timelines can be tight and they can be movable and so on, and it's difficult to arrange moving vans, and it's difficult to arrange all sorts of things. The easy thing when a row breaks out or a dispute arises or threatens to arise is to actually just dump on the other side and do what that guy did at the airline. Dump on the girl, dump on the other side, point the finger, blame the other side, defend yourself. But that is not going to solve the problem. The more difficult thing to do, the harder thing to do, is to take a cool, rational look at exactly where you're at and who can help you solve the problem and who can create great impediments in solving the problem, in coming to a resolution. And if you want to indulge yourself and abuse the one person or persons, the party who can help you, who can help solve the problem, then that's not very helpful, it's not very sensible. And sometimes a solicitor will have to use their experience and their discretion and their common sense not to take clients' instructions precisely, and not just to dump on the other side and blame them for whatever, the delay or the hold up or whatever, but to perhaps communicate with the other side in a reasoned way, in a way that recognises that the other side have the key to solving the problem. And rather than doing, as I say, the easy thing and just finger pointing and blaming, the difficult thing is to write or perhaps engage astutely and shrewdly with the other party, because remember, the other party may well have the key to solving the problem, or they may well have the key to giving you a little bit more latitude. So this happens at the moment. I'm very busy with conveyancing. Property transactions, as I say, are stressful. There's a lot of stress and tension and pressure and anxiety in the air. And the easy thing, as I say, is just to go off on one and to write a letter or send an email or make a phone call that you later regret, and even more importantly, that you recognise is not helpful. And remember, if you have a difficulty like the guy at the airport, you don't want to be dumping on the one person who can help you solve the problem. And therefore, you do need to be careful about basically indulging yourself. So, hope you find this video useful and thought-provoking. And if you do, I'd appreciate if you gave it the thumbs up down below. Thanks a lot for watching.